Hey everybody, so it's still Friday. I think I'm going to be able to slip this video in under the wire. Still making it Flatware Friday. Not Flatware Friday, but on a Saturday. And anyway, so I'm hoping to get this recorded and edited and out to you this evening, even if you are watching it the next day. What I decided to do this week was just kind of handle some of the FAQs, the questions that I get. These are questions that I've culled just from over the years of selling flatware or just different. I used to talk about it on my blog and even from viewers from earlier videos as well. So we're just going to cover a few of those today. And if there's another grouping of them that I'll gather up, we'll do those in a future Flatware Friday. But we're going to start off just talking about, sometimes people get confused with the names of the pieces of flatware that we handle on a regular basis. So if we look at this picture here, we have a 5-piece place setting. If you're familiar at all with buying flatware in regular retail stores, they'll sell a box of flatware or a set of flatware. Usually about 20 pieces is kind of the basic set. So 4 5-piece place settings make up the set. So we have the teaspoon. Okay, so the smaller spoon. A lot of times in our listings, we want to be really clear in our listings, the 2 different types of spoons that we're offering. And so there's a teaspoon, and then what I do is I call this an oval soup spoon. A lot of people, that's kind of what replacements.com uses. That's what a lot of people use on eBay. Another name for it is a place spoon. So like in our house, I don't know, we just go by little spoon, big spoon, we have a few of each, and it just depends on your preference, which one you end up using for different things, right? So over the years of selling flatware, teaspoons are easiest to sell, usually the more sought after. They probably get used most in most people's houses. And so they need to get replaced more often. The place spoons or the oval soup spoons take a little bit longer, but there's still a market for them. So a lot of times if I have room in my title, I even try to put the measurement in the title so people know straight away which spoon it is that they're actually buying, which spoon is which, so they can tell. And you want to make sure you have measurements of your flatware pieces in the listing that you're doing. Salad forks versus dinner forks. People, if I decide not to put, or I miss putting measurements on like salad forks, people are always like, how long are they? And they want to make sure that they're getting the right piece that matches what they already have. Okay, because not everybody's going around with the terminology or anything like that. So one reason this is called an oval soup spoon is because there does exist a round bowl soup spoon. This isn't like a matching to my set right here, but this is just a set of vintage round bowl soup spoons that I just decided to keep because I liked them. And so I use them for soup and I use them for, I don't know, all sorts of different things. My kids are not fond of these, so I get to use them mostly by myself. Anyway, so as you can see, the shape of the bowl, round bowl versus oval bowl soup spoons, okay? Some people, I don't know if they're in their houses, they call them dinner spoons. They're just slightly bigger than the teaspoon. But I don't usually put dinner spoon in my listing. If I put, sorry, I'll try not to make noise. If I put oval soup spoon in the title, I don't usually put place spoon in the title either, but I might put it in the description down below, as I'm listing out what's included or what's involved in the listing. I might say 4 oval soup spoons or place spoons, place or oval soup spoons, 7.5 inches, that kind of thing. So that's the spoons. And then of course you have your dinner fork, you have your salad fork. A lot of times you can easily tell in a photo The difference between a salad fork and a dinner fork, you know, people can tell by looking at those which one it is that they're ordering. A lot of times salad forks have a notched little area here between the tines, and the tines just look a little bit shorter than on a dinner fork, okay? Now we could go into, maybe we'll save that for a future Flatware Friday, but especially in like silver plated flatware, there's so many there's different types of dinner forks, and you will come across sometimes in the fancier brands. There are a couple different sizes. There's like a European fork, which is really big, I think, if I have that right. A dinner fork. So a lot of times in those brands, you're going to come, you know, you might come across some different pieces than just what like the average Oneida set would contain. And so measurements are always going to be really important. Of course, we have our dinner knife. And dinner knives, let's see, what was I going to say about that? So most of the time, a dinner knife, if you look on replacements, they use hollow handle dinner knife a lot. I don't bother putting that in my listing unless it's something like Oneida Twin Star, which we've talked about before. Twin Star did have a hollow handle version, and they have a solid handle version. Hold on, let me see. I might have a couple of those, so let me go see if I have that. Okay, so I do. So I had sold a bunch of Twin Star hollow handle. I don't know if you'll be able to see this hollow handle. You know, they're just kind of regular dinner knife, thick handles. And I had sold those for a long, long time. And then all of a sudden I came across like, it's like the solid handle, right? They're one's wide, one's skinny. It's totally flat, right? I didn't even know these existed. And then I came across them and I'm like, what is this? So you know, when I do these listings, I make sure I say these are the solid handle, you know, and make sure to try to give a picture. These are the hollow handle, that kind of thing, so that people know that they're two different things and that they might want to match what it is they've already gotten. And then, of course, once I started finding the solid handle ones, like that's all I found for, I just kept finding those over and over and over again. Okay, so the only other thing I was going to say, I think when I was a kid, another name for salad fork, maybe you come across, like our family might say dessert fork. Now there are pastry forks. There are some more specialized flatware that's considered a dessert fork. So I think I remember one time I was trying to cover all bases when I was listing flatware. And on my salad forks, I would put salad fork and then I'd put dessert at the end. And I had a comment, you know, like, what does that mean? What does dessert mean? And I was just like, well, I'm just trying to cover all bases of what people might call it. And then I realized that's probably not the most accurate, and it might be confusing because there are pastry forks, dessert forks, things like that. So then the only other thing, like I said, maybe in a future video, we'll go dive deeper into like serving pieces and all of those types of things. Another name that you'll come across in Oneida pieces and things like that is the word tablespoon. Now, to me, a tablespoon, and even I think what replacements uses, is a serving spoon, as they also call it a tablespoon. Okay, so you can see here's a tablespoon compared to the oval soup spoon. The tablespoon is much bigger. Now, a lot of people just call these serving spoons. In my listings, I kind of do the same thing. I put serving spoon in the title. I might use tablespoon and serving spoon in my description. And then if I have one that has the holes in it, right, the words that you can use are slotted or pierced. So I can't remember off the top of my head what replacements uses, but people use different things. And so I try to get both those words in my listing as well, so they know it's not the solid serving spoon, which might be the full title that replacements uses, but then, you know, you have the slotted or the pierced serving spoon in contrast to that. Okay. So those were just a few of the things. Sugar spoons, you'd be able to tell the difference. They're usually in Oneida, they're usually about 6 inches or so. Maybe about the same as a teaspoon, but a sugar spoon is a little more blunt. You know, the shape of the bowl is a little bit rounder and a little bit more blunt. Sometimes they call it a sugar shell because it's like shell, kind of like this. This is silver plated or coin silver or something, but you know, kind of has a fancier little bowl to it. Anyway, I said I'm not going to go into it, but you get me talking about flatware and I don't know where to stop. So those were just a few of the terminology, a few of the pieces to kind of keep in mind. Again, if you have a big lot of it that you're about to sit down and list, just go to replacements.com, look for the measurements to match up to what you have, and then use the terminology that they use, and that pretty much will help you figure it out. Now, I just wanted to go over it today because say you're thrifting and you're coming across a bunch of the oval soup spoons, and, you know, it would help for you to maybe quickly identify it, that like, oh, these are oval soup spoons I'm looking at, these aren't teaspoons. You can check comps, that kind of thing, and you can see if it's worth picking up. Because like I said, the oval soup spoons can sometimes go a little slower than those, and dinner knives are usually the slowest in my experience that sell out of stainless flatware. Now, let's talk about one other question. Okay, so the next question that we're going to talk about is how do you clean your flatware? How do you polish it? How do you clean it? Whatever. So we'll talk about both. We'll talk about stainless and we'll talk about silver plate. And this is just what I do. You can do whatever you feel comfortable with. For stainless, if flatware's dirty, if it's grody, now believe me, people donate dirty flatware. It's got food on it, whatever. They donate it to the thrift store, and I've seen everything, okay? So good old soap and water, just wash my flatware, okay? If I've done that, or if, you know, the flatware is good shape, I figure people who are buying my flatware are going to wash it when they get it in the mail before they eat off of it. So if it's not like covered in food or anything like that, but it's in fairly good condition, but maybe it's got some water spots, or as I'm going to take my photos, I just noticed some fingerprints or, you know, things like that, or just in general, I will give my flatware a quick wipe down with Windex. And the Windex seems to help like with, you know, getting rid of fingerprints or getting rid of water stains or things like that. Now, I forgot to bring it down here, but I will use also on stainless, I might use Barkeeper's Friend sometimes. That can sometimes help with some like scratching in the bowls. It can kind of help polish those out. Like sometimes there's a lot of scratching from people's teeth. And it can kind of smooth that out a little bit. It can also, if you've noticed, some like vintage stainless Japan flatware, the metal content of it is just a little bit different. And it might be some of the ones with black accent or not. Even Interpure, this can happen to that. But sometimes the bowls darken over time. And so some of them, there's nothing you can do about it. But I have played around, if it's not too dark, I have played around with Barkeeper's Friend and maybe with a magic eraser or something like that. And it can lighten up the darkened flatware a little bit. And we're still talking stainless here. Okay, so, you know, if there's some marks or if there's hard water stains, Barkeeper's Friend actually can do pretty good at polishing that up. It doesn't have to be made perfect. Now, people are buying pre-owned flatware, okay? And the statement that I use, you know, I don't buy it if it's dishwasher dinged or, you know, chewed up by a garbage disposal. I said dishwasher dinged. That's not what I meant. I meant garbage disposal, you know, chewed up by a garbage disposal. If it's too rusty or like darkened or anything like that, I'm not going to even try selling it, okay? But just, you know, your average flatware, if people are looking for replacements, you know, they're not expecting perfection. So a lot of times, you know, in my condition description, I just say, you know, that it's pre-owned and it's signs of use consistent with pre-owned flatware, such as from like hard water stains or from stacking or storing or things like that. So they're expecting there's going to be marks, there's going to be scuffs, there's going to be things like that. And then I say would fit in well with your everyday set. Okay, so they're not getting brand new pieces of flatware. And so it kind of sets up their expectations that way. Okay, so that's for stainless. Now, silver plate flatware or sterling. Yes, I do recommend polishing them. Here's an example of why. So last week in the children's flatware video, I shared one of these little baby spoons, and it was pretty heavily tarnished. And so as I was getting ready to list it, this is an Oneida Community flatware piece, Tudor plate, and it's silver plated. And as I cleaned up, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but here in the bowl, as I cleaned up the tarnish, there is considerable scratching in the bowl of it. And then there's a little bit of plate loss on the back of it. Okay, so a little kid used this spoon fairly often, but you couldn't see any of that under the tarnish, right? And so if I had just sold it as is, they would have polished it, looked at it, and been like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting, okay? So any silver plate that comes into contact with food, I tend to focus more on polishing. Other things, hollowware, maybe a candlestick or maybe jewelry or, you know, things that are silver, I might not worry so much. Sometimes that tarnished look is, you know, it has age, especially in Southwest jewelry, Navajo jewelry, things like that. Sometimes that age is what people want, right? You can just kind of buff it with a cloth or a silver cloth or something and kind of hit the highlights. But anytime it's flatware, I usually do polish it. Now, if I'm just dealing with one little spoon like this or like a sterling souvenir spoon or something like that, I don't have multiple pieces that I'm doing, then I just use my Simichrome Polish. And I don't find that much Bakelite. You might have remembered this from the how I test Bakelite video, the plastic. And so I don't find a ton of that stuff. So it's another use for this polish is to actually polish like metal stuff. And so I might just do a quick polish with this if it's just one little spoon, right? For years, if I have a bunch of dinner forks, and you know, honestly, I don't mind polishing silver. It's just not my favorite thing in the world. And I put it off, right? Because I can list stainless and not have to do all that work. But I still end up picking up silver plate flatware. And we'll talk more about silver plated flatware down the line. We're going to talk more about it. So, but if I have more pieces, then I, for years, just used Wright's silver cream. It seemed to work okay. It's good. But then I came across this at a yard sale and I'd heard about it being recommended. It's called Mother's and it's mag and aluminum polish and it's good for all metals, right? Now this one, just, you know, a caveat, it's kind of hardcore. Ventilation is probably recommended. Gloves are recommended. It's a pretty strong type thing. And I think you can find it like in the automotive sections or automotive stores or things like that. But it worked a lot better. The last pieces I was doing with it, it took a lot more, it got more of the tarnish off a lot quicker than the Wrights. Okay. So that's just what I use. If you have another method or anything that you use, go ahead, leave a comment down below. I will say right now, I do not recommend the thing that goes around the internet that everybody talks about, where you put your flatware in boiling water with aluminum foil and baking soda. Is that it? I have done it once or twice. I'm not doing it again, okay? I did it just to see what it was like and how it would work. It's very tempting because you can just do a bunch of stuff all at once. But I think, honestly, that it's pretty damaging to the flatware that you're trying to clean. And then what it also does is, like, say you have something tarnished with a design in it, and it strips everything, like even in the nooks and crannies. And it's like, if you can polish, it ends up stripping stuff that probably shouldn't have been stripped. You know, you can't see, sometimes it gives such a nice contrast when you have like polished areas and other areas that are just harder to polish. You can see the design so much better. Like these need polishing, but I haven't done them yet. And when you put them in that baking soda mixture, it just like strips everything down, and it just looks flat and like bleh afterwards to me. I don't like the look of it. Anywho, that's just my opinion on that. Hey guys, one more thing. It's just editing me here, and I just wanted to mention that I'm going to, down below in the description, I know a lot of you guys watch me on TV. I have to remember that. Sometimes that I'm on the big screen. I don't want to think about that too much. But anyway, in this description down below, I'm going to put links to some of the products that I talked about in this video. The cleaning products and, you know, different things like that. And I think I don't know where I'm putting this edit into the video, but I will talk about, you know, I talk about my photo studio, and so that link is down below as well. They are just links to make it easier for you to find some of those products. They're Amazon affiliate links, so I do need to mention that we do get a tiny little commission for if you purchase those items on Amazon. So if for any of your Amazon purchases, actually using any of the links that we provide as kind of the gateway into Amazon does help support our channel, and so we do appreciate that so much. And anyway, I just wanted to let you know why all that stuff was down below. Okay. Let's talk about taking pictures of flatware, everybody's favorite thing. So here's a picture of my studio that I use, the place I take my flatware pictures. This is just a Tabletop Studio. I can put a link to it down below. It's on Amazon. I bought it several years ago. And I like it because I don't want to use flash. It does provide lighting. And right now I'm using a gray background that I have in it. And I've just found over the years that there are certain colors that work well as a background for silver stainless flatware, and gray is one of them. Okay. I thought what we could do just for a minute is let's go over to the computer and look at some listings. Let's just look at how some people are doing their listings and kind of compare the backgrounds. I'm not calling anybody out, but I just wanted to like show you the difference of what different backgrounds can kind of look like for when you try to photograph them. Okay, so I just threw in that search term stainless flatware, and I'm going down now through solds. So keep in mind the flatware still sold with these backgrounds, so I don't want you guys to get all like, oh no, like I don't have the right background. People are still selling flatware with suboptimal backgrounds. And it's, you know, it's working, right? So whether you could maybe, if you up your flatware photography game, maybe get better prices for your pieces. I didn't go into like analyze that part of it at all. Okay. So one thing I have just noticed over the years that I've tried using white backgrounds, and they're really hard to do with silver items. The whole white balance thing, it's hard to see the details. It makes the flatware really shadowy. Now, if you have a way to do your white backgrounds and the lighting that you have works and everything, that's totally cool. Okay, so here's just some more. Well, that's not really flatware. Here's someone who used a gray background. Now they've got a whole big set of flatware that they're showing. But they, I'm not going to click into each listing to see. I'm just kind of giving you an idea. They have a dark gray. Here's a nice charcoal gray, possibly even a black. I did use a dark for many, many years when I sell flatware, Etsy, eBay. I had this little piece of laminate from a countertop that Mr. Pishbosh had done. It was just this little 13 by 13 square or something. And I would just put my flatware on that. And that worked really well. I probably still have some of it around here. But just a charcoal gray works really well as a background. Here's some more. They're kind of using just a white tablecloth, and now it has brown handles, so that seems to work okay. A lot of flatware sellers use blue, and blue can work really well with the silver, as well as kind of making your listings stand out in a list of flatware. So whatever you end up doing with your style, sometimes it works to just kind of have a consistent style with it. People are looking through search results. They might realize that, certain listings all belong to the same person. And so, maybe that'll help. But this is a nice looking main photo for these round bowl. This is what we talked about earlier, these round bowl soup spoons. Other names are cream spoons or gumbo spoons as well. Now, blue, so the blue looks really good. Now, something I wanted to point out to you guys. Now, a lot of the questions I get about photography is how do you take pictures without getting reflections or glare and everything? Okay, so glare, I wouldn't use flash. I would never use flash on a flatware listing. Reflections, I just live with them. There's always going to be reflections, right? There's you can kind of even see the photographer in these. So spoons are really tricky. So I wouldn't worry about it. You're going to have reflections. You're going to have lighting in the background. Just try to play around maybe with the angle in other photos of the bowls of the spoon, angled a little bit or something so that you can show whether there's scratches or things like that in it. But does that make sense? Stop stressing over the reflections and the glare, because that's just going to happen no matter what. So we're not even, I don't even really notice them anymore. I will say one thing that I try to do is not wear red or bright pink or something like that, because if this person was wearing those colors, you would see those colors in the reflection. And I've done it I've done it before. I look at the pictures and I go, oh, stink. Now I can see what color shirt I was wearing that day. So that's the only thing. If I notice I'm wearing something really bright, then I might just try to change that really quick while I'm taking the pictures. Okay, this one's not bad, just having the natural backdrop, kind of like a kitchen table kind of background. So that one is actually a really nice picture. The details are showing up really good. The reflection is not very specific, but as you notice, there's still a reflection there. Here's another kind of bluish background that seems to work well. This one's just kind of got some shadows. You can maybe see the shadow of the phone, taking the picture. So we kind of want to try to avoid that if possible. But as you can see, the white ones, it's just harder. This one either has really strong overhead lights, or it's just that, that difference with the white background. It's just harder to deal with. The overhead lights could also be an issue. The one thing about the Tabletop Studio is that they do try to spread the lights out in the box a little bit, and they also have a diffusing layer over it. Okay, so it's not just full on light bulbs kind of shining down on it. But as you look at spoons, you can see there's always you know, there's always reflections. It's really hard to avoid getting that. You can play around with the angles so that, like we said before, the shadows are, or the reflections are kind of dispersed a little bit. Okay, then here's someone who spent a little bit more time on their staging of their photo, or that is a AI background, which actually that's probably what that is. Okay, but as I've said before, I said at the beginning, these are all sold. Okay, so they have sold, even with backgrounds that I don't think maybe are the best, you know, for the are not optimal, right? But like I said, I don't want you guys to stress over it. If you have flatware that people are looking for and you can show things clearly, whether it's not your main picture or whatever, like this one to me is a little bit busy in the background, then, you know, I don't know. I don't know that I would use that background, okay? But I'm not saying it didn't work because obviously they sold it. Here's a nice kind of gray taupe-ish background. So you get a few different ideas. Now, I just wanted to point this one out because I have done this many times as my first picture in a listing. So let's pop over real quick. I'll show you the example. This is from my Etsy shop that I have on vacation right now. And hello. My internet decided to slow down. Come on. Oi, hold on. Okay, we are back. No, we're not. Oh my goodness, what is happening? Hold on. Okay, we'll try that again. Okay, so here is the main photo I did for a listing for some spoons. And I was doing this for a while, mostly in my Etsy shop, where I did the main photo was a close-up of the pattern of the spoon. But you can see the other spoons in the background. So it kind of gives the idea, they get the idea that they're getting 4 spoons from this, but they're able to see an up close of the pattern right away in the main picture. Now, most of the time in my listings, especially on eBay, I just put the 4 spoons down and my main picture is just those 4 spoons sitting there. But this is an option too. And I did this for a while. I do this on my Ruby Lane picture sometimes. I don't know why I don't tend to do it so much on eBay, but I think it works. A lot of resellers will also just put a picture of the pattern of the handle as the only thing in their thumbnail. But most of the time, those are just variation listings where people are picking the pieces that they want. So they're just showing, hey, this is the pattern, and you can open the listing and then pick the pieces that you want, okay? And but if I'm selling this grouping of 4, I do kind of a combination of it where I'm showing the handle, but I'm also showing that there's other pieces. And then they can read the title and read the description and see that they actually are getting all 4 pieces in that sale. Okay, so let's pop back over to the camera and we will keep going because I think that's all I needed to show you on the computer. Okay, so please let me know, does that answer your questions as far as photography of your stainless flatware or your silver-plated flatware or anything like that? Do you need more information? Do you need to see something different or something like that? Okay, let me know in the comments down below. So far today we've covered cleaning your flatware. We've talked about the names, the terminology for some of the different pieces. We've talked about taking pictures. Now, one other question I get kind of often is how we ship our flatware. And we did a short a while back with Mr. Pishposh, just showing real quickly how easy it is that we do our flatware, how we send out our flatware. And I am going to try to put that short into this video right here. If I can't, then I will just have Mr. Pish Posh record it over again, and I will put the video in. So we're going to show that right here. Okay, so hopefully that helps with your shipping. Again, any other questions, please let me know. I can do another video coming up with some more frequently asked questions, FAQs about selling flatware on eBay for profit. And I have a couple more in mind that I can talk about in the future. So that concludes Flatware Friday for this week. Just as an update from last week, I told you midweek that I was like behind in my getting flatware, my baby flatware listed, but I ended up putting the Toddle Time flatware in one big lot. I put the Oneida Chateau in one big lot. I have the Cubby Bear 2 pieces listed. I listed the Snoopy fork, and it sold in a couple hours. Okay, so I'll put a sold picture up here. But that fork, I realized as I went to go list it, that the Snoopy fork had, because it was just, the company just made Snoopy, like it wasn't a Peanuts line of baby flatware. It was just Snoopy. And so I looked and I was like, oh, there's different kinds. So this one was Snoopy hugging Woodstock. So I kind of looked through or whatever, and I found one listing where the seller sold their fork for $15, but all the rest were like $8 and $5 and much, much less. And I thought, you know what, why not? So I put it for $14.99. It's possible the Snoopy hugging Woodstock was not as common as some of the other kinds, and it sold in a couple hours. So I was happy with that because, like I said, there was some other lower prices and only one that was like up here. So going up here actually kind of worked out in my favor. And then I have on Ruby Lane, I put some of the little, like what I was talking about, the little silver plate one and some of those other little novelty, the one with the elephant from Denmark and that kind of thing. I threw those on Ruby Lane. So I think I decided not to. I showed you all those knives with the characters, and I don't think any of them are really worth, it's not worth making a variation listing because they're not going to be worth that much on their own. The knives for babies and toddlers just aren't going to sell as well as some of the other pieces, unless of course it was that Minnie Mouse one, right? So I decided to just and what did I have? A Daffy Duck one. If I look closer at it, there was damage in the character of Daffy Duck. So that one is not going to get listed. So I might just hang on to my character knives and see if I find any other pieces that I can pair up with them over the years, right? Anyway, okay, so that was my update. I did get some stuff listed in that challenge. I don't really have a challenge to go along with this video because we're just talking about stuff in general, but I will just keep listing my flatware this week, and I definitely kind of can continue it as my Q4 challenge. I can just kind of continue that and try to continue to focus on flatware because it is the season and it will get busier with selling flatware as the season goes on. Okay. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support, and I will see you guys later on next week.